Welcome to the Texas Conflict Coach radio program. If you've ever experienced or engaged in destructive or unresolved conflict, then you know it leads to broken relationships, distrust, and damaging results. Our program will help you manage and resolve conflict effectively with strategies, valuable resources, and support. Since 2009, our radio program hosted guest experts from around the globe sharing their perspectives, experiences, and expertise while giving you food for thought. If you can't listen live, then download and listen to any of our 300-plus podcasts in our library at texasconflictcoach.com. So sit back, relax, or join the conversation every Tuesday evening, or tweet us at TXConflictCoach.
The holiday season is upon us. We are kicking off our holiday series with returning guest, Dr. Patricia Adams, with Handling the Holidays Before They Handle You. In this episode, Patricia Adams will highlight the importance of preparing for the holiday season to save yourself from the amount of stress that can creep in within the season. By following simple steps that she will outline, you can erase the stress and headache that can set in. Dr. Adams will highlight this method to use these tips to handle the holidays before they handle you. Now, as I mentioned, Patricia Adams is a returning guest. She is the president of the Zeitgeist, and that's Zeitgeist, it's a German name, Zeitgeist Wellness Group, and she is a family therapist. She is one of only 10 women nationwide to be named the 2011 Entrepreneurial Winning Women by Ernst & Young. As a subject matter expert, Dr. Adams has more than 16 years of experience as a licensed marriage and family therapist. She is a certified mediator and crisis intervention specialist. She's also the author of ABCs of Change, 3 Building Blocks to Happy Relationships. Now, we do invite you to call in at 347-324-3591 with your comments or questions, and simply press the 1 key if you'd like to ask Dr. Adams a question or make a comment. We also have the chat room open. We already have a couple of guests in and out of the chat room there. Go to blogtalkradio.com/Texas-conflict-coach. And I also want to say that we're excited that Blog Talk Radio has selected Dr. Adams' show as a staff pick today, so we're very excited, Patricia, to have you on the show again. Thank you for coming back.
It's a pleasure, as always, Patty, to be with you and your guests here at Blog Talk Radio.
Well, you know, earlier in the year you were actually speaking about, you know, the uniqueness of military relationships and talked about your book, The ABCs of Change, the 3 Building Blocks to Happy Relationships. But today we're really getting ready for the holidays. You know, we've had Halloween now, and now we're already, you know, seeing things that are happening around the holidays. So why don't you describe some simple steps in your first step to creating a plan to prepare for the holidays, and maybe say a little bit about why it's even important to do that.
Well, you know, I'm a marriage and family therapist, so I've seen folks at different stages in their marriages and their relationships. And one of the things that folks rarely do in their relationships is to plan early. I think one of the things that strikes me the most is that, you know, we spend a great deal of time getting ready for the wedding, buying the right dress, wearing the right shoes, getting our makeup just right. But do we really plan for those milestone events in our lives that determine if the marriage is going to stay healthy, if the family is going to be vibrant, and if we're actually going to get the things at the end of the day that we want? And I believe fundamentally all of us want to have happy, sustaining relationships. So the first key to all of this really is thinking about what the end goal is. And I believe, as I've seen in the years that I've been working with folks, at the end of the goal is to really enjoy their family, to have a great meal during the holiday season, to, again, as we're going to speak about later, really establish traditions that when you think about them, they just give you that warm, deep, lasting feeling of soundness, of goodness about you and your family. That's what people really want. So my first thing is, let's plan early. Let's think of it like being proactive instead of reactive. And that's what a lot of families don't do.
So you gave an example of, one, plan early, begin with this end goal so that if you're setting your intention that, I don't want to get into a fight with Sister Sue, I want it to be pleasant and peaceful, you really are consciously thinking ahead of time about what that goal is, and I think that's what it is I'm understanding you to say.
That is so true, Patty. We want to focus on the big picture. We want to have a positive, engaging outcome when we're all done. One of the things my sisters, I have 3 sisters, and they're big planners. I mean, they love parties. They love games and all these kind of things. And me, I just sit back and kind of let them put everything together. A couple of years ago, we did a scavenger hunt. We each were given like $10, $12. We were grouped into groups of 5. My sisters dropped us all off at a Goodwill in a very large city, and we were all supposed to go in this store as teams and find certain objects and spend less than the money that was given. We had the best time ever. It started like team building. It makes people laugh. It's fun. It's engaging. It's become a new tradition for us to have a scavenger hunt in different places. So, again, that big picture focus. What do we really want for our families? We want to be less stressed. We want to enjoy each other. We want to build traditions that last for a lifetime. And everybody was engaged from, the 7-year-olds all the way up to my mom, who's now getting ready to celebrate her 80th birthday, I think. Gosh, if I said that wrong, Mom, it's okay. I love you. It's okay. I love you. So, yeah.
Now, what is another step? You talked about the first step, plan early, begin with an end goal. What is the second step?
Well, believe it or not, one of my big things is, exercising. We talk about that. And by the time we get done about this, everybody will know that we spelled a word, a very comforting word, a very soothing word. And as we get through the holiday season, the next thing we start thinking about is, okay, let's create our New Year's tradition. Let's get on this great plan. So, again, as we plan early, we think about the big picture, the end goal. I think it's important to just start a tradition of, maybe just walking 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, just getting involved physically with creating energy for yourself to be healthy. And exercise is a good way to do that. Whether you're walking with a family member, whether you're walking with a friend, it's so important to use it as an opportunity, again, to build healthy relationships with the folks that you're involved with. So exercising, just creating a mindset of creating a new energy in your body, in your presence, and between you and the folks that you live with.
It's very typical for a lot of people out there that the holidays are not necessarily automatically a happy time of year for them. It actually can be a very depressing time, anxiety-provoking time, very stressful time, and so a lot of people don't embrace the holidays in this cheerful manner. And I imagine that, having this, planning early could simply mean planning for how you're going to manage getting through the holidays if it's a difficult time period for you. And that physical exercise, as you mentioned, is a way I would imagine to even manage the emotions and the whether it's depression or anxiety or anything of that nature that's coming along as well.
And it does. I mean, that's what it does. It gets your body energized. It makes your body work within itself to ward off the depression because your hormones get activated. And so, yes, we have to incorporate the physical piece of exercise to keep our minds and our spirits going in a positive direction. As you know, this is the greatest time of the season for depression, for anxiety. We call it seasonal affective disorder. The sun goes down earlier. You have less warmth that's going on. We wear really dark colors this time of year. So to keep our bodies physically activated, our bodies working with us to create a happy holiday season is so important. It's okay to start in January. I'm good with that. But let's be thinking about the planning early and exercising and engaging our entire being to keep us happy and healthy during the holiday season.
Okay, great. Now, I love the title that you had, Handling the Holidays Before They Handle You. I guess what's coming up for me is, there's so many extreme expectations during the holidays that can just get out of control, which is, I imagine, a little bit about, how it gets out of control, and before you know it, you feel like the holidays have just rolled you over, and you're exhausted from that. So what do we need to do to strike that balance with all these expectations of tasks and gift giving, and we must go to 5 family home members on Christmas Day because they all wanted to see us, and all these things that either we put on ourselves or that family and friends put on that. What do you say about steps or strategies for handling that kind of creating a balance?
It's called accepting help. It's very simple. It's not hard to do. And know what your role is. See, my role, I'm not the organizer of the Goodwill, what did I call it, the scavenger hunt. That's not my role. My role is to be involved, to be engaged. My role in that is the hosting of the event. Everybody loves to come to our house. They love it. And we're so relaxed when people come into the home. So we accept who we are, and we accept help, so that in that process of handling the holidays, you might take it on something that's not in your nature to do. If you're not the one to cook the turkey, don't cook the turkey. If everybody knows you're going to burn the macaroni and cheese, don't cook the macaroni and cheese. There has to be someone in the family who does those things well. So accepting help, learn to do what you do well, learn to say no to the things that you don't do well, and what you do well, do it unto just being excited about it and the joy that it's going to give the others around you. We learned that years ago. I remember when I first married my husband, and I was just shocked because we really weren't a big family, tradition-oriented Christmas-type family. When my husband's family, they did this thing where everybody is present. And it's like, well, why would you do that when you could just kind of slow this thing down just a little bit, and then maybe family members buy certain gifts for certain folks in the family instead of trying to buy everybody something. So we immediately, within the first couple of years of being married, we said, okay, let's everybody buy the grandparents or the parents something. Let's divide that. You buy for this child, you buy for that child. We pulled names amongst the adults in the family. So we kind of scaled it back a little bit so that it was manageable, because as these families grow, and they have grown over the years, Rose and I have been married now 27 years, you can't continue to do things the same way that you did before. So you have to accept help. You have to manage what you can do what you can do well, and don't be the martyr. Oh, every time, that old story. Do what you do well, accept help, know how to receive, be grateful to those that are helping, and know that, hey, if I have to take on a different role because somebody didn't follow through this time, or, we kind of jump in there together and get things done, it's a great way to manage the holidays, to handle the holidays before you have to handle you, and no one's overwhelmed in the process of the holiday season.
All right, so let's take an example here. Let's take an example. One, you said, because I'm thinking of a couple of things. One, how does the person who's used to, where the family expects that they're going to, put it all together, and that's the way it's been traditionally for years, what would it sound like for that person to ask for help? How would that sound like?
It would sound like it's July. We're Christmas in July now. People start, making the play on the words. And, of course, we put up Christmas trees early in the stores now than we ever did before. So you have that proactive conversation. Hey, I really think it's time that we kind of divide things up. And you know what? You're really good at wrapping presents. I love those beautiful bows that you do. Oh, wow. And you're just so creative in putting things together. I saw you at Timmy's birthday party last year. I absolutely love you. I really enjoy baking, but you know what? The way you did that cake, and would you mind doing that this year? And they go, really? Me? Oh, yeah, I think if you take that on, oh, well, you know what? Your greens last year was the bomb. We could talk like that because we're friends. So would you make the greens this year? And by the way, you really know how to organize the invitations. So can you create that and just send it out to the family, via internet so everybody can sign up so we know who's coming? You ask early. And people like to be asked, believe it or not. They want to participate at the level So when they do something and it's done well, somebody respects what they've done. And you get a really good sense from the family like that versus trying to do everything the night before and the next day at dinner. Oh, I was up for 2 days getting everything ready, and people eat it in, 5 minutes?
Yeah,
so let's spread it around. Yeah.
So something I want to underscore that you just said that's really important is that, people who are not used to asking for help think that a lot of times the attitude might be that they're burdening someone by asking. But the way that you just, demonstrated several examples, it's really about valuing that other person, including that family member or that friend, to make them feel part of that. So it's not that you're burdening them by asking for help, but that you're including them, showing how valuable they are and how they could be part of creating, a rich tradition and then getting the support that you need. So on the other end, someone comes up to the person and says, I'd like to, really help. I'd like to, organize the desserts, or I'd like to. So how does one, when you talk about knowing how to receive help, what would that sound like to receive help?
You said, oh, thank you so much. And I'm just going to let you design that just the way you want. We know it where some people say, well, we didn't do it like that when Mama was alive. We always did it this way. And I want to just keep doing it that way. Well, you know what? You're right about that, and it was so beautiful the way Mama did it, that I know Mama would really like the fact that we're still using some of the traditions that she had, but we're also creating our own. You can't bring this on people, though, at the last minute. That's what I talked about. We need to do these things early. She always lead with a positive, always lead encouraging. If we do this thing together and it works out well, if it doesn't work out well, we won't do it again. But let's just try it this way this time if you have.
Absolutely.
You just really stroke that person, be encouraging to them. But it's okay to create new traditions.
Absolutely.
Really,
and I know that
in
it itself can cause a lot of stress and angst about changing, traditions. We've always done it this way, and you get all that resistance, and that's normal, for people to resist, and it's okay to, don't shy away and feel like, oh, I've hurt their feelings or whatever. Just have that great conversation. So I want to let people know that are tuning in. You're listening to the Texas Conflict Coach Blog Talk Radio program, and I'm speaking with Dr. Patricia Adams of the Zeitgeist Wellness Group about handling the holidays before they handle you. And we're talking about just right now about how do we plan early, and we're talking, you talk about Christmas in July and planning early. Now, of course, it's November, 5th, so you still have time, absolutely, to be having some of these conversations about accepting help, about asking for help so that you can really manage expectations and not have it all burdened on you. But earlier, Patricia was saying, begin with an end goal. What is it that you would, walk away from the holidays feeling good about, and start with that end goal so that you set those intentions and being proactive and not reactive. So how can we make the holiday season more memorable and motivate ourselves to enjoy our time we have with each other, versus the typical thing that happens is, oh, we got to go to that family reunion, Uncle Bob, he's going to be complaining. I just hate it when he complains. And, and then we focus on all these negative things that happen. So how can we set that intention and make it more memorable and motivate ourselves?
It's about creativity. That's one of the key things about this is that we're designed to be creative people, and with the thought of what can I do this year that's not necessarily just different, but that just brings an added level of depth to the relationships, to the folks that we are with. And it could be anything. Again, in our family, it was that whole thing of, stepping back and saying, hey, let's not give presents that way. And instead of this year putting up the big tree and being all elaborate about it, maybe, it's okay, it's just okay to go and feed the homeless, and add some value back into your community, or buy a bunch of toys for tots and give the toys out versus being the one that's receiving all the toys, or spending some time in fellowship and worship in a different environment during the during the Christmas time instead of your own, so you can see what other people are about. Or if it's okay to volunteer in a hospital, because sometimes people are away from home and they'll have everybody come see them, and hospitals set those things up. So you could be like a blue Santa to folks. There's so many things that you can do to add meaning to more than just about receiving. And it's about what can we do creatively, also to give back to our community. Creative thought energizes you. It takes the responsibility off of you. It puts the meaning on somebody else. It energizes you to know that, hey, we slowed down and made this tradition about maybe even possibly bringing someone at home. I know in military towns across the country, they have a sign out to where young soldiers who are away from home for the first time are picked up on Thursday night for Thanksgiving, Thursday before Thanksgiving, for example, and they come into someone's home and have a home-cooked meal with families and games and things that make the holiday very special, not only for them, but for you too, because you brought someone into your home. So just being creative, thinking of ways that you can start a new tradition, and traditions are good. They create stability. They bring cohesiveness into the family. And again, it helps you get back to not only yourself and your family, but it helps you to be a part of a greater or larger community of folks.
You know, in hearing you say that, I mean, I think it's also important, especially if you're trying to create a new tradition with the family. Sometimes, again, you know, I mentioned that resistance that comes about. Don't feel, in my mind, I would say, don't feel so tied to everybody's buy-in to doing something like giving back to the community. Do that for yourself, meaning, you know, take that action. Say to your family, I'm going to do X, set that intention, set that goal. I would like to, you know, give back to the community by doing X on Thanksgiving Day. Is anyone going to join me? Versus asking permission, because a lot of times then we feel pressured that everyone's like, oh, we don't have time for that. Oh, we want to watch the football game. Oh, you know, whatever that is. And
Right.
it's just like,
right.
So then you get resentful or disappointed that, oh, no one wants to do it with me, so I won't do it. So I'm thinking, you know, set that intention and say, this is what I'm going to do. And then I invite any one of you to do it, and I bet that you would have people who actually join you in whatever it is that you're wanting to do and creating, you know, a new tradition, especially in giving back to others that who really need us.
That's a excellent point, Patty. And I think your listeners, because of their commitment to reducing conflict and having openness and engaging in proactive conversation, they can receive exactly what we're talking about. Because that's our intent. We want to engage people in something that creates health and wellness in their overall life, and, you know, between themselves and also between them and other folks. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, so you know, because I struggle with that too. There's been many a times where I'm like, you know, I really want to do something from the standard. We all fill ourselves up in a gluttonous way for Thanksgiving, and it's just like, you know, I get really tired of that, and I'm like, I really want to be able to go out on Thanksgiving and go work in a kitchen where I'm giving food, and I just recently saw on television about the military program. They were just showing that actually here in San Antonio about the program for military folks coming into homes and stuff, and every year I'm like, I really want to do X, but the family, they want the tradition. They want things to be the same. They don't want it to change. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, I guess nothing's going to really change. And then I don't do anything about it. And I'm like, you know what? I need to just set my intention and then make it happen for me. And then hopefully maybe people will, you know, join me. Now, it's important to remind ourselves that the holiday seasons is all about, but it's also not about just giving back to the community. It's about enjoying the present, the now, and not bringing up the past, which tends to happen when we get together with family members we haven't seen in a while. And, you know, we niggle at each other and we trigger each other. So how can we instill, you know, in our day-to-day activities as we get ready for the holidays and during the holidays about how do we be in the moment? How do we just be and enjoy the present moment and enjoy the holiday and creating this new memory?
It's one of the things that we talked about in our last show. It's that thought process of really committing wholeheartedly between now and Thanksgiving, between now and Christmas or Hanukkah, between now and New Year's, that I am committed to making sure that this year my expectation and my desire is for a healthy, happy, enjoyable family time together. And if someone tries to engage me in something that may be negative or may want to take me down a path and I'm not willing to go, or Uncle Joe is drinking too much and Aunt Sue is, not satisfied with the meal, I'm just going to focus on my commitment to find something in this moment to be thankful for, to enjoy, to establish a new tradition going forward. I'm going to be so committed to the presence I'm enjoying right now. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised next year. We're not promised New Year's. I can commit. I can commit to enjoying what's right now, what's in front of me. And I guarantee you, again, working with soldiers all over the country, they could tell us some beautiful stories and to keep us focused on, wow, the things that we have right now to be thankful for, to enjoy. Just the idea of being with family, to have mom or to have dad, and even in the memories that we might have about mom and dad, if they're not with us anymore, you can learn to in front of you. And that's the last part of this piece of the conversation, really, is just enjoying today. Perhaps there's some challenges. Maybe it won't be easy, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you it'll be worth it. So that when you lie your head down on the pillow and you're resting in the enjoyment of that day, you'll just feel so much better about the fact that, wow, that went really, really well. Again, I can remember when we started this tradition. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just remember when we started this tradition, with my husband and his family some 27 years ago. It wasn't the easiest thing. People are like, well, who is she? I haven't been married to my husband very long, and she's coming in and she's changing things. But they love me. I love them. It works really well. My sister-in-law organizes all of that. We all get to listen. We're so excited. We don't even get together during the holiday. We wait till after the first of the year. I'll tell you one other thing that I like, and I know our time is coming short, but I just thought this was a really cool tradition. I wanted to mention this earlier. I have family members and friends who said that instead of opening their stockings on Christmas Day, they wait till New Year's to open the stockings so that you carry that sense of getting presents through a period of time versus, my kids are, it's ripped through everything, and then there's nothing left. I thought that was so cool. You could teach your children, the process of waiting and not getting everything at once, just for a couple more days. I love that idea. I've introduced that to some other families, by the way. I thought I'd throw it out on the radio.
I think that's
the
great.
Whole process.
It doesn't have to all be in one day.
No, people said, don't forget to mention that. I was talking about the show. I was like, yeah, I'm looking at my notes. So, yes, I have to say that because I love that idea. The stocking used to be really small when I was growing up. Now they got these big old long ones that are taller than my 6-year-old. I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea because, they should wait. So,
and
I do want to tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah, in other countries, they literally, celebrate the 12 days of Christmas, so January 6th into January 7th, and we have friends that live in other countries, and so they actually celebrate their Christmas on January 6th and 7th, and so we've added into our family tradition about how we kind of extend our holiday expression and gift of giving each other, and we'll even get on Skype. They're in Russia, and we're here, and so we celebrate, through video Skype, and it's just a way of really extending those holidays and those traditions, and like you said, honoring those things. And I love the idea of the stocking on, New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and I mean, there's so many creative ways, as you said, that people can really enjoy the holidays, and so kind of to summarize, and I want you to give the listeners kind of like an assignment, a call to action. The next step is you basically said that one of the things we need to do to kind of take control of the holidays, so that stress and anxiety and depression and all of that doesn't just, run us rampant, is to plan early really set that intention and set with an end goal. Be very creative and committed to having an enjoyable time. Really learn to ask for help and to honor and value people who can provide that help so that you're including them and knowing what your role is. So some great tips and great strategies. What is it you would like to ask listeners to do? They hang up and they stop listening to that, to encourage them to take the very next step as they prepare for the holidays.
Well, what I would call you to actually do is to step out of being afraid and call someone within the next 24 to 48 hours in your family and ask, what can we do differently this year that will add a new tradition to who we are as a family and what we want to be remembered by? Within 24 to 48 hours. So you may get multiple calls because there could be different family members listening, and then look at all those suggestions and come up with one that would really fit your family, and then put it into action. And before we go, Patty, you know I have to tell everybody everything we talked about spells a word, and I think it's the word that most of us want during the holiday season, and that word is peace. We sing the songs. We talk about peace. Peace is on many, many holiday cards. So this is what we said. P, planning early. E, exercise regularly. A, accept help. C, create a new tradition. And finally, the last, I think that's probably right, enjoy everything as it is today. Focus on
I
just
love
today.
that.
And wrap these all together, and there's your handling the holidays before they handle you, and you'll have peace, because that's what we all want.
Oh, that's a wonderful, wonderful final message. And, you know, where can, by the way, folks find you? What's the easiest way for them to find and connect with you?
The easiest way to connect with us is through our website, www.zwgroup.net. And the Z stands for Zeitgeist. That's that German word you and I talked about the last time. And Zeitgeist literally means that nothing's going to happen till it's time for it to happen. It's a very spiritual word. It's a very movement-oriented word. It's a word that implies being involved right now and being aware of your surroundings so that the spirit of the times is not going to let anything happen until it's time to happen. That's the translation of the German word. So we've now shown the website just a little bit, so it's easy to find us at zwgroup.net.
Well, Patricia, I am so glad that you were on the program again, a returning guest. You've been extremely valuable to our listeners and the things that you've provided. I love the acronym that you just gave around peace and the assignment. Any final words that you want to say at this moment before we close?
You know, I started writing this book on handling the holidays, the presentations on handling the holidays years ago because people said, oh, you know, we've been fighting and I'm like, well, what do we want more than anything else out of the holiday? And he would say that word, peace, peace, peace. So I started putting this together going, okay, well, I can help you create some peace, and here it is. So just being aware, just being committed to the process of peace. You can even use some words that are even more defining for you, but just be aware that the end goal, at the end of the day, is peace. Relationship with family, relationship with friends, and by the way, don't forget good food.
For sure. Well, Patricia, thank you so much. And listeners, thank you for tuning in for our holiday series.
Thank you for listening to the Texas Conflict Coach. We hope you've enjoyed the program. You can find over 300 podcasts archived to listen at your own convenience at texasconflictcoach.com. or download the podcast at iTunes or Stitcher Radio. To learn about upcoming radio programs and resources, sign up for our monthly e-newsletter. Welcome to the Texas Conflict Coach radio program. If you've ever experienced or engaged in destructive or unresolved conflict, then you know it leads to broken relationships, distrust, and damaging results. Our program will help you manage and resolve conflict effectively with strategies, valuable resources, and support. Since 2009, our radio program hosted guest experts from around the globe sharing their perspectives, experiences, and expertise while giving you food for thought. If you can't listen live, then download and listen to any of our 300-plus podcasts in our library at texasconflictcoach.com. So sit back, relax, or join the conversation every Tuesday evening, or tweet us at TXConflictCoach.
The holiday season is upon us.